And here, my brother Daniel announced loudly, lifting his champagne glass toward me, is my little sister Emma, still working at a bakery downtown. The comment floated across the ballroom microphone just enough for nearby executives to hear. A wave of polite laughter followed, but controlled, corporate kind people use when they aren't sure whether something is a joke or an insult. Daniel smiled proudly, completely comfortable being the center of attention. I forced a small smile, holding my glass carefully so no one noticed my hand tightening around the stem. I was 29 years old, standing inside the Grand Regent Hotel, surrounded by CEOs, investors, lawyers, and consultants celebrating a multi-million-dollar merger that had just made my brother one of the most talked-about young executives in the city. And according to everyone in that room, I was the unsuccessful sibling who never quite grew up. My name is Emma Lawson. I have an art degree, flour permanently embedded under my fingernails from early morning bakery shifts, and a reputation within my family as the dreamer who never became practical. Daniel had always been different from me. He moved through life like a checklist: top grades, elite university, corporate job, promotions stacked neatly one after another. Our parents adored his discipline. He represented stability, security, prestige. I represented uncertainty. After college, when I chose creative work instead of corporate employment, something subtle changed in how people treated me. Conversations about careers would pause when I joined. Relatives asked Daniel about investments and asked me whether I was still drawing. At first, I tried explaining my goals. Eventually, I stopped. The merger party felt less like a celebration and more like an evaluation of who deserves to belong in Daniel's world. The marble floors reflected chandeliers overhead. Waiters carried trays of imported champagne. Women wore gowns that probably cost more than my monthly rent. My navy dress, simple, elegant, carefully chosen, felt invisible among luxury labels. Ashley, Daniel's fiancée, greeted me with a perfectly rehearsed smile. "Emma, you made it," she said, scanning my outfit quickly. "I love how natural your style is." Natural was her polite way of saying inexpensive. Daniel began introducing me around the room. "This is my sister," he told one group of partners. "She's still figuring out her path." Still figuring out. The phrase followed me everywhere. At dinner, executives discussed expansion strategies, international markets, and venture capital deals. I listened quietly, fascinated by the conversation even though no one assumed I understood it. When a man across the table finally asked what I did, I answered honestly. I work mornings at Willow Street Bakery and run a small design studio. The reaction was immediate. "Oh, creative work," someone said kindly, the same tone people use with children explaining imaginary careers. Ashley leaned closer. "Emma is very artistic. She makes beautiful illustrations." Daniel added with a laugh, "We're hoping she'll eventually join the real world." More laughter. I nodded politely and took a sip of water, letting the moments pass. Because arguing would have required explaining years of work they had never cared enough to notice. 2 years earlier, after graduating with my art degree, I realized something important. Creativity alone wasn't enough. I needed independence. I took the bakery job intentionally. Early shifts meant I finished work by noon, leaving afternoons and nights free. That was when Ember Lane Creative was born. At first, it was small freelance work, logos for local cafes, menu designs, social media graphics. I worked from my tiny apartment kitchen using a second-hand laptop and borrowed subscription services. Clients paid little, but each project taught me something new. I studied branding strategy, marketing psychology, business structure, contracts, pricing models. While everyone assumed I was drifting through life, I was quietly building systems. By the end of the first year, referrals replaced cold outreach. By the second year, agencies began outsourcing work to me under non-disclosure agreements. I never told my family because every attempt to share progress ended the same way. "That's nice, Emma," Mom would say, "but what's your real plan?" So I let them believe what was easiest. Back at the merger party, Daniel stood to make his official speech. "To ambition," he declared confidently, "to people who push beyond comfort zones and build something meaningful." Applause filled the ballroom. Then he glanced toward me again. "And to family members who take their time getting there." The crowd laughed warmly. Something inside me shifted, not anger, not embarrassment, but clarity. I realized they weren't trying to hurt me. They genuinely believed I was behind. And for the first time, I felt strangely calm because I knew something they didn't. Several companies seated at that very dinner table were already my clients. They just didn't know the woman behind the studio name they praised in meetings. 2 weeks later, Daniel invited me to a family discussion dinner. Our parents attended eagerly. Ashley sat beside him, smiling like they were about to deliver wonderful news. Daniel cleared his throat. "I've arranged an opportunity for Emma, an assistant role at a marketing firm, stable salary, benefits, real career growth." Mom looked relieved. Dad nodded approvingly. I listened quietly before opening my laptop. I actually wanted to share something too. No one paid much attention at first. Then the screen lit up. Brand campaigns appeared one after another. Restaurant identities, boutique hotel rebrands, advertising concepts, packaging designs. Each project displayed measurable results: increased sales, expanded reach, customer engagement analytics. "This is Ember Lane Creative," I explained calmly, "my design studio." Daniel frowned. "Freelance work isn't a business." I slid printed documents across the table. Tax returns, contracts, profit summaries, savings accounts. Silence settled heavily over the room. Mom whispered, "Emma, these numbers." "I've been financially independent 18 months, I said gently. "The bakery job covers steady income while I scale the business." Ashley leaned forward suddenly. "Wait, Ember Lane designed Harbor District Market?" "Yes." Her expression changed instantly. That campaign doubled their traffic. Daniel stayed at the documents, confusion replacing confidence. "You never told us." He met my eyes calmly. "You never asked about my work. You only asked when I'd get a different one." No anger, just truth. The conversation that night lasted hours. For the first time, my family asked real questions about clients, strategy, growth plans. They weren't mocking anymore. They were trying to understand. 6 months later, Ember Lane Creative opened a downtown studio space filled with sunlight, plants, and large design boards covering the walls. I hired a small team. Projects booked months in advance. A local business journal listed me among emerging entrepreneurs under 30. Meanwhile, Daniel's merger faced complications: internal restructuring, delayed integrations, financial pressures no one had anticipated. Success, I learned, rarely follows predictable timelines. One evening, Daniel visited my studio alone. He walked slowly through the workspace, studying sketches and branding mock-ups. "I think," he admitted quietly, "I needed you to stay the struggling sister. It made my success feel bigger." His honesty surprised me. "I never wanted competition," I said. "I just wanted respect." He nodded, understanding finally settling in. Our relationship changed after that. Not perfect, but real. Family gatherings felt different too. Conversations included me instead of happening around me. Mom asked about upcoming launches. Dad proudly mentioned my studio to friends. Ashley even asked for help redesigning a nonprofit campaign. But the biggest change wasn't theirs. It was mine. The merger party where they laughed at me stopped feeling painful in memory. Instead, it became proof of how invisible hard work can be while it's happening. Success isn't always loud or immediate. Sometimes it looks like waking before sunrise, working double shifts, learning business skills alone at midnight, and choosing patience when recognition doesn't come quickly. Sometimes people underestimate you simply because your progress doesn't match their expectations. And sometimes the most powerful response isn't defending yourself, it's building something so real that explanations become unnecessary. I didn't win that night at the merger party by proving them wrong publicly. I won quietly, through consistency, discipline, and belief in a vision no one else could see yet. Because the truth is, I was never behind. I was just taking a different path. And the moment I stopped waiting for approval was the moment everything truly changed.